Okay, so when you're working this out, this would be 40 plus 1 over 3 times 50. Do you understand that? Right? It will be 40 plus whatever the center point is here. That will give you the location of the x coordinate. Right? And this here would be 56.667 millimeters. Understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Your y1 would be equal to, your y1 would be equal to half of basically this 30. Okay, so you'd say half 30, which is equal to 50 millimeters. Right? And if you look at it, 20 is like somewhere here, right? And 15 is like somewhere here. So that will be the center point of that shape. Right? And then okay, let's do for the triangle. If you said y2, how would you work that out?
Use same half, so it'll be 40 plus
Half
third
height.
and
That's
For
easy.
y,
Half 30.
Half?
40.
Third of 30.
1/3
I mean,
of 30.
1/3.
Yeah.
right? You don't need to add anything below that because this triangle is basically against the
Okay,
x. It
alright.
starts from 0, goes up to 30. If
Yeah,
you're looking at
third of
it,
30.
this is basically 0, it goes
Yeah.
up to 30. This is 40 and then it goes up to 90. They just broke it up into pieces, right? So this would now be 1 over 3 times 30, which is 10 millimeters, right? So to get the center point of this, if you're looking at it, 40, say 56 is somewhere here, right? And 10 is somewhere here. So say that's more or less the center point of that triangle. You understand what I'm saying? That's basically what we did. We calculated the coordinates of the center points. Now, how do we calculate the coordinates of the center point for this entire shape? Right? How we would do that is we would use that formula I told you earlier. So you'd say x bar is equal to the sum of the areas multiplied by its center points all over the sum of the area. This would be equal to a1 times x1 plus a2 times x2 plus one of any of two shapes, right? All over a1 plus a2.
Okay.
Right? Do you understand?
What are we trying to get now?
Now we're trying to get the center point of this entire shape. I just basically showed you why we, this green and purple line is me showing you what these two things actually mean. So we need to know those two center points to calculate the center point of the entire shape. And that's our goal at this, right? So this here is now, A1 is 1200 times x1, which is 20, right? Plus A2, which is 750 times x2, which is 56.667, all over A1, which is 1200 plus 750, which is
34.102.
this is 34.1
103.
millimeters, right? That's the coordinates of the center point of the shape along your x-axis. See what I'm saying? There. Now for your y center point. This will be equal to the sum of the areas times the y values all over the sum of your area. This would be equal to a1 y1 plus a2 y2, right? All over a1 plus a2. This would be equal to 1200. The y1 value we worked it out here as 15, right? this would be 15 plus A2, which is 750 times 10, all over 1200 plus 750, which is
13.077.
what?
13.077.
13.077 millimeters. So your final answer is, for the center point, the location of it is 34.107 and 13.077. So if you look at it on your diagram, right? 34.107, if this is 40, say it's like somewhere here. Right? That will be 34. And if you look at where 13 is, that's half will be 15. Say it's somewhere here. Right? At that point there, that would be the center of your entire shape. That's what we basically worked out. The coordinates of the center of the entire shape. You're gonna see, I know it looks like a lot of calculations now, but because this is the first example, I'm showing you every single step. After this, if you look at the top of page 96, that's how your calculations will be done. Okay? You'll make a yeah?
Can I take it back, please? I'm sorry, it's with all this. X2.
Yeah?
So it's 40 plus
1 over 3
plus
times
50.
50. Why?
Why?
Why? Okay, remember I said that to work out the center point of a triangle, if you look at the top of page 89. Yeah? If you look at the top of page 89, you can see figure 4.45.
Yes.
Right. So can you see along the x-axis, they got 1 over 3b. So to work out the center point along your x-axis for a triangle, you take 1 over 3 times the base.
Yes.
Right? So 1 over 3 times the base is 1 over 3 times 50, which will give you the coordinates of your center point of the triangle.
Okay.
And 1 over 3 times 50 is 16.667. Right? But remember, these are coordinates. And your x-axis always starts from 0. So 16.667 would be somewhere here. Is anywhere here the center of this triangle? No. So you'll have to add this distance that's before the triangle, which is the 40 millimeters, which is what I did here, 40, plus where the center of it will be found. So if you were actually looking for it along your axis, there, remember this would be 0, the entire length of this is 90. So 56.667 would be somewhere here, and that will be with it. You understand? Yeah? What's the time? 5 o'clock, yeah, I'm gonna have to finish now, I'm just stop it. Okay, what I'd like you to do, please, is okay, you can do example 4.10, right? Example 4.10, the only trick is that, it's not even a trick to, right? You see that circular part they have there? That's a hole. It's not part of the area of the shape. So when you're solving for the area of A, B, C, D, where solution is, they'll say 450 times 450 is basically the length of the rectangle times the length of the breadth of the rectangle, right? That will give you the area. They subtracted the area of the circle because it's a hole. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Understand? Look at the figure figure 4.55 on page 94. Example 4.10, right? You can see the circle.
Yes.
The circle is basically a hole in the diagram.
Okay.
Right? So, in terms of area, right? Can you put anything inside the circle? No, it's a hole, right? So, when they solved for the solution of A, B, C, D, they did it like how you normally would solve for rectangle, length times breadth, 450 times 450. But they subtracted the area of the circle. Yeah? Right? That's the only catch over there. And also, you see where they say X bar of the following laminas, and then they got circle. towards the bottom, you got 4 points there.
Yeah.
Right? You got X bar of the following lamina.
Yeah.
And then you got southern. Okay? I want you to take out the 75 and the 295. Because if you look at the diagram, can you tell me where your X coordinate of the circle would be? It'll be at 220, right? It's not going to be 220 plus the radius because that will take you to the edge of the circle, the right hand side. You all understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, they're giving it to you on the diagram with the dotted line. Right, that will be the center point, okay? So that's two things you need to make a note of. Everything else is okay then.
So this is wrong.
Just take out.
It's just that the 295 is wrong. In the calculation, you'll see they use 220 when they're working it out.
Second point where it says circle.
Okay?
220 plus centroid was unridiculous. Just leave it at 220.
You don't understand what I'm saying, right? Okay? Then on page 95, example 4.11 is not bad. Right? They basically at that point start to teach you a summarized way to answer the question. So you'll see on the next one they show basically they divided it into 3 parts. Right? You'd have 3 rectangles. You see how the H is? They basically divided it. This is the H. They basically divided it into A1, A2, A3. Right? That's what they did. So you'll see the areas, they worked it out into 3 parts. The coordinates of the center, they also got it there. And then they just basically use that formula that we used here, and here to work out the center point of the shape. Okay? And then when you do that, please attempt activity 4.3, question 1. So you're going to go through, because I'm only going to see her again next week Wednesday. Right? So you're going to go through example 4.10, example 4.11. You're going to attempt activity 4.3, question 1. Okay?
Activity 4.3.
Okay. Then next week, Wednesday, we're gonna finish that last bit of centroids, which is like 2 pages. Right? Once we finish centroids, we can start with hydraulics, and hydraulics will be tested in your test 2, which is not next weekend, it's the following weekend.
So next week we're writing chemistry and
Yeah, you're probably gonna end up doing it because maths are still to try and finish trig and try and do graphs with your next week.
We're going to get to those other ones.
Which are-
We have to get to them.
Which ones?
The 2 last sections.